This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. 10-year-old boy who was shot in Arnett Gardens has died. A 10-year-old boy who was shot by gunmen in Arnett Gardens, St. Andrew on Thursday has succumbed to his injuries. Reports are that the child, Jaheem Bogle, was riding his bicycle close to the Tony Spalding Sports Complex when he was shot. He was rushed to the Kingston Public Hospital and transferred to the Bustamante Hospital for Children later on Thursday. Reports are that he succumbed to his injuries early on Friday. The incident has triggered shock and anger in the area, where public agitation is now heightened about the ongoing deadly violence in the general area, which has resulted in a number of fatalities over recent times. Man gets life sentence for murder of ex-lover. Jermaine Miller, who was accused of the stabbing death of his ex-lover, 27-year-old Nevia Sinclair, at her family home in Brinkley, St. Elizabeth last year, was yesterday sentenced to life in prison. His attorney, Queen's Counsel Peter Champagny, told the News that Miller was also sentenced to 13 years for burglary. Miller will have to serve 20 years before he is eligible for parole. The sentences were handed down by High Court Judge Justice Courtney Day in the St. Elizabeth Circuit Court in Black River. Sinclair had moved out of her boyfriend's home and returned to live with her parents because of an alleged abusive relationship. She was stabbed to death in her bedroom at about 10:50 p.m. on January 12, 2020. The intruder had pushed aside mosquito netting and climbed through an unlocked window to enter her bedroom. Miller was allegedly seen fleeing the scene immediately after Sinclair's parents saw her bleeding on the floor. Woman held after going missing from guest house with lover's gun. A 21-year-old woman has been arrested and charged with illegal possession of firearm and ammunition and simply larceny following an incident at a guest house in Sandy Bay, Clarendon, on Monday, July 12. The woman has been identified as Tanisha Brissett, a hotel worker of Lilliput, Montego Bay in St. James. Reports from the Maypen police are that on Sunday, July 11 at about 11:30 p.m., a man picked up Brissett along the roadway and assisted her to a guest house in the parish where they both spent the night. Reports are that before retiring to bed, the man placed his firearm and ammunition in a table drawer for safekeeping. When he reached home, he remembered that he left his firearm in the guest house room and went to retrieve it, but both the firearm and Brissett were missing. A report was made to the police and a snap raid was carried out in the Bushy Park area of Maypen, Clarendon, where Brissett was located and the firearm was found in a brown canvas bag. She was subsequently charged by the police. Her court date is being finalized by the police. 2 Jamaicans plead guilty to playing role in lottery scam. 2 Jamaicans have pleaded guilty to participating in a lottery scam that cheated victims in multiple states out of a total of about $600,000, federal prosecutors in Rhode Island said Thursday. Keon Kitson, 38, pleaded guilty Thursday in U.S. District Court in Providence to conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud. Jason Wedderburn, 42, pleaded guilty to the same charge earlier this week. The victims, many of them older, received unsolicited contact from the scammers and were told that they had won hundreds of thousands of dollars and in some cases more than $1 million in a lottery, prosecutors said. To collect their winnings, the victims were told they would have to pay fees to cover taxes or processing. The victims were instructed to mail checks or money orders made out to the defendants to cover those fees or were provided instructions for depositing the funds into bank accounts controlled by the defendants, prosecutors said. Once deposited, the funds were either quickly withdrawn, sometimes from ATMs in Jamaica, or transferred to other bank accounts. The victims never received a penny. One person from one state was cheated out of more than $325,000, prosecutors said. Kitson and Wedderburn, both citizens of Jamaica, are to face sentencing on October 6. 5 of 15 rainforest lobster fishermen died at sea. Sources have confirmed that 5 of the 15 crew members who were on board the Falling Star lobster fishing vessel all died at sea. The source said that 4 of the men went down with the vessel and died after it made a sudden rollover 30 miles west of Pedro Bank. The 11 remaining crew members, including the captain of the Falling Star, boarded a skiff. At some point while they were floating around, the captain died and had to be thrown overboard. The 10 men who were rescued on Thursday by a commercial ship that had left Kingston for Guatemala are receiving medical attention. Falling Star was part of a fleet being operated by Jamaican company Rainforest. The vessel was returning from dry docking routine maintenance overseas when it ceased sending tracking signals on the afternoon of July 6. Popular fruit vendor killed on Omar Road. A popular fruit vendor was shot and killed along Omar Road off Hagley Park Road in St. Andrew on Friday morning. He has been identified as Steve Gordon. Reports are that sometime after 6 a.m., Gordon was at his stall peeling an orange when gunmen approached and shot him multiple times. The gunmen then escaped. St. Andrew Central Police are investigating the incident. Man charged for St. James shootings that left 7 injured. The police have charged a man in connection with last month's shootings in St. James that left 7 people injured. He is 27-year-old Dermine Hood, otherwise called Dunn, of Spring Mount in the parish, who was on Wednesday charged with 7 counts of wounding with intent and 2 counts of shooting with intent. His court date is being finalized. The police say that one of Hood's accomplices was killed a day after the shootings, which happened on Sunday, June 27. It was reported that about 2:40 p.m., Hood and his accomplice, later identified as Levante Roden, were among men armed with high-powered rifles and handguns who opened fire on a group of men who were at a car wash in Dam Road Square in the parish. 4 men were injured at that location. An off-duty police woman who was nearby responded to the incident. The police say she was shot at by the men and she returned gunfire. The men fled in a motor car. The policewoman escaped unhurt. In a bid to escape, the gunmen collided with another motor vehicle. They then opened fire at the occupants, injuring 3 more persons. The police say Roden was shot dead by unknown assailants in John's Hall in the parish on Monday, June 28. They say investigations are ongoing as detectives in St. James are working diligently to arrest all persons involved. Bar owner slapped with lottery scamming charges. 32-year-old Shavar Blake was on Thursday charged with breaches of the lottery scamming law following an operation in his community. The police report that members of the lottery scam task force were conducting operations in the community and Blake's house was one of the premises searched. According to the police, lottery scamming items were found inside his house. He was subsequently taken into custody and charged with possession of identity information with intent and possession of an access device. Blake's court date is being finalized. PNP vice presidents and chairman resign as party rift deepens. People's National Party vice presidents Damian Crawford, Wickham McNeil, Michael Phillips and party chairman Philip Paulwell have resigned their positions with immediate effect. Vice President Michael Phillips, who was recently nominated, has also decided to withdraw his nomination to be a vice president. In a joint statement on Friday, the 4 comrades said, "We had encouraged the wider leadership of the party in good faith negotiation to avoid a further widening of the internal rift, recognizing that the party leadership had declared publicly that the party could not countenance another divisive internal election at this time." They said they arrived at the decision after recognizing the risk of another internal election before the wounds of the last presidential elections were adequately healed. The discussion within the party continued for more than 3 weeks, with some officers volunteering to step aside for the sake of unity. However, we concluded that the sincerity of certain members of the leadership was not forthcoming and that the minimalist effort towards unity was a charade that is inimical to genuine pursuit of unity. Despite all the reasonable efforts to broker a platform of unity, there were otherwise covert attempts to sabotage the goal of peace and harmony with a plan to hoard the available positions in line with previous public statements made by the leader, who pronounced a lack of trust for persons who did not support him in his campaign leadership, and his preference to surround himself with only individuals who overtly endorsed his candidacy. Therefore, to continue our sincere efforts to preserve our beloved party, which has served this nation well and has been at the forefront of much of its development, we have decided to resign from our current positions and turn our efforts towards rebuilding the constituency organizations, they continued. They said the most recent Achilles heel of the PNP has been the disunity that has plagued the party, which according to them has deepened since the recent internal election, where the victor has seemingly not acknowledged that the unity is ultimately the responsibility of the victorious. We further believe that the disunity and display of underhandedness have crippled the spirit and effectiveness of the Unity Committee. Despite this unfortunate development, we are committed to the continued progress of the party. To that end, we will work to advance the constituency organizations and develop ideas, policies, and programs around which the society can coalesce to address the issues and serve the Jamaican people, they concluded. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.